In this video, I'm going to be showing you 10 tips and tricks, some little secrets that you may or may not have known for Black Ops 7 zombies. Whether it's to help you play Ashes of the Damned in general or to complete the main Easter egg, these should, no matter how big or small, help you out and make your experience a little bit easier. Let me know in the comment section below how many of these you knew already, and if there's anything in the video that you think should have been included that I wasn't aware of, put it in the comments as well. But anyway, getting straight into it, the first tip that you should probably know when playing Ashes of the Damned is that you can mitigate fall damage by rolling. Now, this is going to help you out, especially in the Ashwood area where you can rappel up to the top portion of this location and then jump back down to the bottom. I've seen so many people over on YouTube and Twitter saying they've died here by simply falling off. What you can do, of course, is apply the stamina up augment that mitigates fall damage, but instead, when you fall off a ledge, if you hold the crouch button, don't press it, you have to hold it as soon as you fall off. When you hit the ground, you will roll and any damage will be mitigated. This means you no longer have to select that augment that takes away fall damage, and instead you can use it on something else. So this helps you in two ways. You can save an augment slot and still take pretty much no fall damage simply by holding the crouch button when you fall off a ledge. If you're using the PhD slider perk, you will also create the explosion. So this is a really useful tip, especially in the Ashwood area, because it means you can quickly get down to the bottom portion of this area without having to use the zipline or looking for a safe method down. You can simply just jump off the ledge and hold crouch to roll when you hit the ground. The next tip you should know is that the turtle shell augment for Juggernog works different in Black Ops 7 to how it did in BO6. So if you didn't play BO6, then you wouldn't be any the wiser. But at the same time, because of how bad it was in that game, or useless, if you thought it still worked the same in BO7 because all of the other augments do, aside from a few changes here and there, without listening to Troyok's blogs, you wouldn't know this. You would think turtle shell is still terrible. But in Black Ops 7, Troyok have changed it so that it essentially works how the shields did in Black Ops 3 and 4 zombies in Black Ops 2. For example, in BO6, when you had the turtle shell augment, it meant when you got hit from the back, damage would only be taken from your armor, not your health, which was good. But if you got hit from the front, damage would only be taken from your health and not your armor. Your armor wouldn't work if you got hit by a zombie from the front, only behind. Meaning the augment was actually really bad. It meant you were playing the game with no armor if you got hit from the front, which, considering it's entirely built around the armor system, sucked. It just wasn't a good augment to have. But now in BO7 they've changed it to work how it should do, pretty much how the shields did. You will only take damage via armor from the back, and then from the front you will take damage regularly from your armor and your health. To be fair, Juggernog has quite a few good augments. One of them increases your health. It just depends on which one you would prefer. Would you prefer more health or to have essentially a shield from the back? I prefer this one now. Taking a few extra hits via more health is good, but taking no health from hits behind, to me, is better. Of course, it does mean your armor is probably going to be depleted quite a bit faster, but as long as you're continuously picking up plates from the ground, which drop quite regularly from zombies if you're shooting them, and of course you can buy them, it isn't really a problem. So turtle shell is an augment that you should definitely have now. The next tip I have for you guys is for taking out zersea really quickly. Now, it's a combination of two things really. One, you have to have the right weapon, and two, zersea is susceptible to the brain rot or the napalm ammo mod. So you want to be placing either one of those two ammo mods on your weapon. The brain rot one doesn't unlock until level 52, so unless you've got it as a permanent unlock, you're probably only going to have napalm for now. Either way though, it doesn't matter. As long as you've got either one of these two ammo mods on your weapon, you are going to do more damage to zersea, and you are also just going to want the correct weapon as well. The best ones are the wonder weapons, of course, the ray guns, but when it comes to your standard gun, I found the ones that have the most ammo, so the LMGs, where you can just continuously spray into the zersea without having to stop and reload. When you shoot him enough to stop and then you can still continuously drill into him before he starts moving again, you can do so much damage to him. The last thing you want to do is get into a continuous cycle of shooting, reloading, running away, shooting, reloading, running away, because you're only doing small amounts of damage at a time, and the bear starts to run when he gets to low health. I've noticed when you're playing like that, he can take a long time to just get rid of, because he can be a bullet sponge. Also, you want to be taking off the yellow spores on him. Those are his weak areas. There are, I think, 4 or 5 of these yellow spots on his body, so you want to be aiming at them. But if you've got an LMG, just absolutely spray into him. Of course, you are going to want it upgraded to orange tier, which I have, and Pack-a-Punch level 3 to do the most damage. But the number one pro tip would to be just use an LMG, this one's really good, along with the Napalm Blast or Brain Rot ammo mod. There are also multiple ways to get free salvage, free points, free equipment, and free weapons, which includes free wonder weapons. One way you can do so is through Chompy, which are these bins that you can find around the map. One of them is right here in the farm area. If you find these bins, just melee them and then feed it something. This can be a weapon that you are holding, it can be a piece of equipment, essentially anything that you don't want, put into the bin, and in return, depending on how good the item you gave it was, how high a rarity it was, you will either get back salvage, other items, or like I said, weapons, including wonder weapons. Another way you can get free stuff like this is you may have noticed around the map there are these green glowing plants. And well, if you pick up one of the fumigators in the map, there are 3 or 4 of these located around. There is one in the snowy log cabin area, there is another right here in the barn upstairs. But once you've picked one up, you can then go over to these green glowing plants, spray it, and then you have to protect it for about 30 seconds from zombies. They will begin to attack it, and if you do so successfully, again, you will get loot. Similarly, another tip I have for you guys is if you let the Ravengers eat any loot off the ground that you don't want, so for example any armor plates that you don't need, any grenades, any weapons that you just don't want, or even salvage, you may have noticed the Ravengers will eat them. Or in fact, you may have noticed them doing something weird on the ground, but not known that they were actually eating your loot. And well, this can be a good thing because if you let them eat enough loot, they will begin glowing, and then if you shoot them in this state, they will drop loot that is upgraded or of higher rarity than what was on the ground. So this is really great if there are loads of grenades and armor plates that you just don't need. If you let the Ravengers eat them and then shoot them when they're glowing, in return you will get back better items than what was already on the ground. I will say though, you do have to be careful because if you're not quick enough to shoot them in their glowing state, they will begin to bury themselves underground and disappear, and that's all of your stuff gone. But this is a really great method if there's just a load of loot on the ground that you don't necessarily want. You could pick it up if you wanted to, but instead let the Ravengers eat it and then shoot them when they're glowing to get better items that you may want. The early rounds in zombies have always been important, but more so in Black Ops 6 compared to recent years, because you can now aim your melee in where you want to hit or knife the zombies to get extra points. And like I said, you are going to want to do this on the earlier rounds when it only takes a couple of hits to kill a zombie via melee. So basically, here's how the point system works. If you shoot a zombie via a critical shot, so a headshot, you will get 115 points. But if you melee a zombie via a critical shot, and what I mean is you hit it in its head, you will get 150 points. If you shoot a zombie normally, what I mean is you just kill it via its torso or its legs, you will get 90 points. And if you melee a zombie normally, so kill it anywhere other than a critical hit on its head, you will get 105 points. So essentially what you want to be doing on these earlier rounds is finishing off zombies with a melee critical kill. You can do this by putting a couple of shots into them first, and then dealing the last blow with a melee head kill. Unlike in old zombies, you don't get points per shot anymore, you only get points when you kill a zombie. So there's no method of putting a few shots into them first to get 10 points and then finishing them off with a melee kill to maximize your points. You only get points at the point of death, so to maximize them, you just want to finish them off with a melee kill to the head. Another secret tip I have for you guys is you can actually get permanent perks in Black Ops 7 Zombies. Once you've brought every perk in the game, you can do this by purchasing them yourself or using a perkaholic. If you then complete a TED trial, and from what I've seen you have to get the legendary tier, so do the best you can do, you will then be given a permanent perk. But they seem to work a little bit different to they did the last time we saw them back in Black Ops 2, because they are only permanent for the game you are playing. If you end and then start a new match, you will have to get the perma perks again. Unlike in Black Ops 2 where once you had them, you could play as many games as zombies as you want and that perma perk would always be there unless you lost it. Whereas in BO7, they are only permanent for the game you are playing. What this means is if you go down and then you get back up, the permanent perks that you had before you went down will still be with you and they will remain with you all throughout the rest of the match. So if you leave and save and then load back into that same game, you will still have those permanent perks. So this is pretty good. The permanent perks aren't as good as they were in Black Ops 2. It would be cooler if once you obtain them, you then had them forever throughout the game's life cycle. That probably would also be a little bit OP, but that's how it worked in Black Ops 2. However, in Black Ops 7, they're only permanent for your game. And as far as I've noticed, you can get every single perk as a permanent option. You can get as many as you want. It's not just one perma perk per game. It's just as simple as first purchasing every perk there is, or use Perkaholic, and then complete a TED trial, and in the box you will see the perma perk. You can then pick it up and you've got it. Interestingly, the icon for the perma perk is a mystery. If you want to know what you're picking up, it will tell you up the top right hand corner, or if you look at the can your character is holding, that will tell you as well. So in this instance, you can see I've got stamina up, and then in another instance, I had quick revive. Moving on then, when you're driving Old Tessie, as you're going through the fog areas, you will notice the Ravagers and zombies can attack your car and damage it to the point of you not being able to drive it anymore. Basically, you don't want this to happen. You will notice in these areas there are red spores which you want to stay away from. They will explode and damage the vehicle, but there are also green ones which you want to run over that will give you not only essence but repair the vehicle. But if your car does end up breaking down and it gets stranded in the foggy areas, you can either spend salvage to repair it, simply go up to the door. I believe it costs 100 salvage and you can repair the vehicle. Or if you go to Ashwood, you can head over to the front of the garage where you can call the vehicle. Another method to get more points in BO7 Zombies is by recycling gobblegums that you don't need. So if you end up loading into a game with gobblegums that you just don't want in the end, if you're in a situation where you need a bunch of points, you can bring up the gobblegum menu and you will notice it says you can either use them or convert them. And if you hold down the convert button, you will crush that gobblegum, turning it into essence. And depending on the rarity of it, you will get a different amount of points. So for an orange gobblegum, epic, you will get 2,000 points. Crushing a purple rarity gobblegum will give you 1,500 points. And if you crush an ultra rare gobblegum, you will be given 5,000 points, which is a lot. I doubt there's going to be many instances where you are going to want to crush the ultra rares, but if there is, or if you're in a desperate situation where you just need points straight away, if you've got them on deck, you can hold Y to convert them and get points in return. Of course, this gobblegum will then never be available to you unless you've got more back in your main menu, but it does count as you using it.